This week we're talking about dangerous spies, watching R-Wings fly, and wrestling rivalries intensify. It's the Retrogaming Chart Show. It is November and we are less than a month away from Christmas, but it is far too early to think about that now, as we have the matter of looking at a retro gaming chart from yesteryear. At this time we are jumping back over to the pond of the US of A through the pages of Nintendo Power, the official mouthpiece for the console manufacturer's American branch for the Nintendo 64 Top 10 Power Chart. This month's chart isn't really based on sales, but more a combination of the sales charts and voting from within Nintendo as well as from players themselves. But before we begin this month's rundown, I've got to let you know that next month, that is to say December's chart, will likely be the final Retro Gaming Chart Show possibly ever. So I am opening up the floor. Is there a console that you would like me to cover for the very final episode? Let me know in the comments and I'll try and make it happen. Anyway, on with the show. At number 10 is the second edition of Mario Kart, and it's probably the entry that put the series on the road to greatness thanks to its excellent tracks and hilariously fun 4-player mode. Making the jump to 3D was a difficult thing for many 16-bit games, but Mario Kart 64 did so incredibly well with a game that still holds a place in the heart of anyone that played it at the time. Speaking of games that successfully made the jump to the 64-bit generation, defining the series in the process, here is Star Fox 64 at number 9, a game that's arguably the best of the franchise with its exciting levels, multiple vehicles and many memorable moments. Plus, it was the debut of Nintendo 64's Rumble Pack, bringing force feedback to the system. At number 8, it's Ocean's take on the 1996 cinematic version of Mission Impossible. It was inevitably compared to Rare's GoldenEye 007 due to the subject matter, and of course this game was always going to come off second best. That might be a little bit unfair, as for the time there's a lot of originality within this release. Some popular piste-based action comes in at number 7 with 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, a cult favourite amongst Nintendo 64 owners, and it is easy to see why, delivering trick-based fun over a year before Activision's Tony Hawk Pro Skater hit the scene and kickstarted the extreme sports trend in video games. But it's not just about tricks, as there are also downhill races to take part in to become the best snowboarder around. The last game on this list was far too intense, so let's take things down a notch and hit the golf course in Wailea Country Club True Golf Classics at number 6, a game that recreates the course in Hawaii that shares a name with this release that I can't pronounce. Supposedly it is the best golf simulation game, but most people would argue that Mario Golf is a better recreation of the sport. The Nintendo 64 had a reputation for great wrestling games, and it all started here with THQ's WCW vs NWO World Tour in at number 5. Featuring a roster of WCW's finest, this game innovated with its unique grappling system, which remains one of the best wrestling game mechanics ever, and set the groundwork for a series of excellent games that were fun whether you like professional wrestling or not. On the Nintendo 64, games rarely get any bigger and better than the system's debut release, Super Mario 64, here in the charts at number 4. There isn't too much to say about this one really. I mean, you can't deny the importance of Mario's first foray into 3D, a title that truly defined the 3D platformer as we know it. At number 3 is the second wrestling game on this chart, Acclaim's WWF Warzone. While its gameplay mechanics are lacking when compared to the games published by THQ, Acclaim certainly made up for it in terms of presentation, with recognisable wrestlers and even a few voice samples in there as well. It has sadly been bettered by many other wrestling games on the system. At number 2 is a game that started life as a Super Nintendo release, before drastically changing direction and becoming one of the Nintendo 64's best platformers. Rare's Banjo-Kazooie was another one of those games that put Rare on the map, a game that took the basics from Super Mario 64 and expanded upon them, adding the developer's trademark penchant for secrets and collectibles. And number 1 is another Rare game, and arguably one of their best, GoldenEye 007. Another game that started life as a Super Nintendo concept before being moved to Nintendo's 64-bit system. Despite being released well after the movie it's based on, the first-person shooter impressed with its mission-based structure, unlockable cheat modes, and its legendary multiplayer mode that to this day remains a favourite of parties. Its follow-up, Perfect Dark, might be the better game, but there's something to be said about taking on missions as 007 himself. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this and want more, you can click this icon to subscribe, this icon to support me financially via Patreon, or these icons to watch more videos from my channel. Why not take a few seconds to answer the question of the week in the comments, or just let me know what you thought of this video. See you next week.